My mom gave my sister the best room. She didn't know I owned the hotel. I watched quietly as she flaunted luxury, unaware it was my property. I arrived at Hotel Miramar, heart racing, taking in the grandeur of the lobby. It was our family reunion, the annual event Mom insisted on hosting every year, a weekend I had always dreaded. Lucia, my sister, was already there, basking in the attention she always seemed to command. Everyone hugged her, smiled at her, praised her achievements. I, on the other hand, was barely noticed until Mom's eyes met mine. Her frown was unmistakable. "I thought you wouldn't come, Carmen," she said, voice tight with disappointment. I smiled politely, though the calm on my face hid the fire in my chest. No one knew the truth. 6 months ago, my grandfather had left me a secret inheritance, this entire hotel. Hotel Miramar, with its impeccable gardens, pristine lobby, and breathtaking ocean view, was mine. Every detail, every polished marble floor, every chandelier, every room key, was now under my control. And yet today, I wasn't here to flaunt it. I was here to observe. To understand why, after 30 years, my family still treated me as the least valuable, the invisible one. As I checked in, Roberto, Lucia's husband, gave me a once-over, a mocking smirk on his face. "Seems the graphic design business isn't so lucrative after all," he said. If only he knew. My small company had grown into a respected international agency, but I said nothing. They didn't deserve the satisfaction. Mom handed out the keys herself, announcing the room assignments with practiced authority. "Carmen, you'll be in 108, she said. I glanced at the key, and then at my family. Room 108, the smallest, noisiest room, next to the laundry. The others got luxury, presidential suites, executive rooms, deluxe rooms. My parents, proud of their careful selection, had no idea that the owner of their precious hotel was the one being punished. Miguel, the hotel manager, looked uneasy as he handed me the key. He knew the truth, but like me, he kept the secret. I walked past my family toward the elevator, feeling their eyes on my back. Whispers followed me. "Carmen always settles for leftovers," Daniela murmured to someone nearby. I didn't reply. The room awaited, small, functional, with a window overlooking the service area and the relentless hum of the laundry machines. I sat on the single bed and breathed deeply. This was my vantage point. Not for revenge, not yet, but to understand them. To see the dynamics, the cruelty, the unspoken hierarchy that had defined our family for decades. That night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I watched my family from the dining room. They dined in luxury, drank wine I had supplied, laughed at their own jokes, and praised Lucia endlessly. I ordered a simple salad, maintaining composure. The head chef, Antonio, approached and bowed slightly. I had personally hired him 3 months ago. My family didn't notice, too wrapped up in their performance. And yet, quietly, under their noses, I controlled it all. Observation became satisfaction. Understanding became power. The hotel was mine, the secret intact, and for the first time in years, I felt a calm certainty. Tomorrow, I thought we'd see how much they truly valued me, without realizing that everything around them belonged to me. The next morning, the hotel was alive with the familiar sounds of luxury, the gentle clink of silverware, the soft murmur of staff, and the distant ocean waves. I stepped out of room 108, the key still warm in my hand, and walked toward the restaurant. Mom, of course, was at the helm, coordinating everything with the precision of a general. "Carmen, make sure you're ready for breakfast," she said without looking at me directly, as if my presence were an obligation rather than a delight. Lucia and Roberto had already claimed the best table, a vantage point with an unobstructed view of the ocean. My parents, ever proud, lingered nearby, exchanging nods of approval at their chosen heir. And me? I sat at the small corner table, slightly hidden by a column, a simple plate of fruit and yogurt before me. Their eyes flicked toward me occasionally, assessing, judging, the same way they had since childhood. Miguel approached quietly. "Miss Carmen, may I suggest a few adjustments for the breakfast service?" His tone was careful, respectful, hinting at knowledge I wasn't ready to reveal. I shook my head. "Everything is fine, Miguel," I said calmly. I was testing them, observing their unguarded reactions, seeing how they treated me when they thought I had nothing to offer. The conversation at the table was predictably about Lucia, her promotion at the bank, her new house in an exclusive neighborhood, her flawless sense of style. Every compliment, every cheer was a reminder of how my family measured value, in prestige, in status, in appearances. I remained silent, sipping my water, smiling faintly. They had no idea that the very foundation of their comfort, the hotel, the staff, the pristine service, they owed to me. When Mom finally looked at me, she frowned slightly. "Carmen, only fruit again?" she asked, her voice laced with false concern. I replied lightly, "I prefer a light start to the day." Roberto snorted, barely concealing his amusement. "Economical," he muttered under his breath. The cousins chuckled. I ignored them all. Every small interaction, every dismissive comment, was fuel for my quiet observation. After breakfast, I took a slow walk around the lobby. Staff greeted me with subtle respect. Some bowed slightly, others held doors open. They knew. They had seen me handle this hotel in the months since my grandfather's passing, and they recognized the authority I carried quietly. My family, blissfully unaware, continued to act as though I were the insignificant one, the invisible sister. I let them, knowing that patience, not confrontation, would reveal the truth in its own time. By the time I returned to room 108, I had catalogued every glance, every whisper, every small act of neglect. I wasn't angry yet, not the explosive anger of years past. This was a measured power, quiet but undeniable. I sat by the window, listening to the hum of the laundry machines below, thinking, tomorrow I would learn more about them, and they would continue to underestimate me, blissfully unaware that the entire world around them, every detail they revered, was mine. That afternoon, the hotel tour began. My family barely noticed me, as I followed behind, feigning interest in the artwork and furniture. Mom proudly explained each detail to the guests, unaware that I knew the exact cost of every chandelier, the history of every painting, the contracts with every vendor. I had walked these halls countless times over the past months, ensuring everything was perfect. Every detail reflected my care, my vision, but to them it was merely background to their celebration. Lucia strutted through the hallways, laughing, showing off her newly purchased designer bag. Roberto lingered near the concierge desk, checking his phone between glances at her. Mom floated beside them, praising every accomplishment with exaggerated pride. And I, Carmen, walked quietly in their shadow, invisible to the eye, but very present in the power I held. When we reached the spa, my mother insisted on booking the premium treatments for Lucia and her husband. I had reserved my own appointments months ago, but she had accidentally canceled my session for the deluxe massage. "We'll book you for the basic package," she said, feigning disappointment. I nodded, smiling calmly, taking note of every slight. Miguel, standing nearby, shot me a small, knowing glance. He understood. I wasn't here to fight yet, I was here to watch. The tour continued to the pool, where lifeguards nodded discreetly in my direction. Staff moved swiftly, attentive to every need. The family lounged on chaise lounges, sipping cocktails, completely unaware that the woman they dismissed as unimportant was the one who made this entire operation possible. Every poolside umbrella, every towel, every cocktail glass, they were all mine. By evening, we gathered for welcome dinner. The table assignments were as predictable as the sunrise, my family at the center, me tucked away behind a column. As the servers brought in the courses, I noted every whisper, every glance, every comment about my modest presence. I ordered a simple salad again, letting the irony settle in my chest. The head chef, Antonio, approached with a polite bow, having prepared my dish personally. My family remained oblivious, but I felt a quiet satisfaction. I realized then that power didn't always need to be announced. Sometimes the strongest authority was the one that went unseen, quietly shaping the environment around it. I watched them, taking mental notes, understanding each dynamic, each unspoken slight, each measure of their entitlement. And all the while the hotel, my hotel, stood as silent witness, every wall, every light, every luxury, a reminder of the control I quietly held. That night, during the welcome dinner, the family occupied the prime table in the hotel restaurant. I remained partially hidden behind a column, observing every movement, every word. Mom praised Lucia endlessly, her voice loud enough for all to hear. "Lucia always knows exactly what she wants," she said, a proud smile stretched across her face. Every laugh, every sip of wine, every toast was a performance, and I was the unnoticed audience. Roberto leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Seems your salad is very economical, Carmen," he whispered loudly enough for me to hear. I replied politely, "It suits me perfectly, thank you." My tone was calm, but inside I relished the irony. They had no idea that I had personally overseen every aspect of the restaurant, the menu, the wine list, the staff. This was my domain, yet they treated it as theirs. Lucia tried to catch my attention, offering a fake smile. I didn't return it. I noticed her eyes flick toward Antonio, the head chef who had greeted me earlier with a bow. He nodded subtly, a gesture only I could understand. 3 months ago, I had personally hired him, trusting that he would maintain discretion while acknowledging my authority. My family was completely oblivious, immersed in their illusions of superiority. The whispers began. "Carmen always takes what's left," my cousin Daniela murmured. I ignored them, sipping my water slowly, savoring the calm patience I had cultivated over the years. Miguel, the hotel manager, approached discreetly. "Miss Carmen, there's an urgent matter in the office," he said softly. I raised an eyebrow but nodded. My secret was still safe, and for now, observation remained my greatest ally. As I left the table, I felt the weight of their eyes, their subtle judgments, but I stayed composed. Each step toward the private office reminded me that power often works quietly. The hotel was mine, every room, every service, every luxury, yet they were blind to it. And in that blindness, I found clarity. Understanding them, seeing the patterns, witnessing their entitlement, I realized that the true satisfaction wasn't in confrontation yet, but in knowing the truth and letting it simmer quietly under their noses. The next morning, breakfast brought the same predictable theatrics. Mom hovered near the buffet, fussing over presentation, ensuring everyone except me had the best table. Lucia and Roberto claimed their usual spots, smiling and chatting with exaggerated cheer. I quietly took my place at a corner table, the simplest of selections before me, a plate of fruit, a cup of yogurt, and a glass of water. Mom's eyes flicked toward me. "Carmen, only fruit again?" she asked, with an air of faux concern. I responded calmly, "I prefer a light start to the day." Roberto snorted quietly. "Economical," he whispered, prompting chuckles from nearby cousins. I ignored them all, letting the silence between words speak louder than any argument. The staff moved efficiently, subtly acknowledging my authority. Antonio, the head chef, offered a small bow and a nod as he served my meal. My family didn't notice. To them, I was invisible. To me, every gesture, every interaction was a reminder. This hotel, every luxurious detail they admired, was mine. They were enjoying privileges I controlled, yet remained blind to my ownership. During the buffet, Mom casually discussed the spa treatments. "The premium package isn't necessary for Carmen," she said, her voice heavy with condescension. I nodded, maintaining my calm. They had canceled my previous reservation, thinking it a small joke, a reminder of where they placed me in their hierarchy. But I knew the truth. The privileges they sought were mine to grant or deny, and Miguel, the manager, shared a knowing glance with me. By mid-morning, I retreated to the balcony of room 108, overlooking the hotel gardens and ocean. The sunlight glinted off the pool, and I saw the family enjoying every luxury I had ensured was perfect. Observation was power. Patience was power. And understanding them, their arrogance, entitlement, and blind pride, was the most satisfying revelation yet. By mid-afternoon, it was time for the hotel tour. Mom led the family through the corridors, narrating with exaggerated pride. Every detail, every painting, every piece of furniture was discussed as if it were theirs to admire, never considering that I had overseen the selection, installation, and maintenance of each item. My footsteps were quiet behind them, listening, observing, cataloging each glance, each comment. Lucia lingered at the lounge area, tossing her hair, and pointing out a new sofa. Roberto checked his phone, but paused to nod approvingly at her remarks. They thought themselves the center of this luxurious world, unaware that every comfort, every detail, had been arranged and approved by me. Miguel followed at a respectful distance, offering subtle guidance where needed, silently acknowledging my authority. We reached the spa. Mom insisted that Lucia and Roberto take the premium treatments. "Carmen will be fine with the basic," she added casually, with a hint of condescension. I smiled politely. She thought she was denying me luxury. I thought I was observing another layer of entitlement. Miguel leaned closer and whispered, "They have no idea. Soon they will." The family continued on, laughing, chatting, comparing experiences. I walked behind them, taking in the full extent of their assumptions. The staff nodded discreetly, recognizing my influence. Even the smallest details, the temperature of the pool, the timing of the spa appointments, the precision of the room service, had been calibrated under my supervision. As we concluded the tour, I felt a quiet satisfaction. I wasn't seeking revenge, not yet. I wasn't here to humiliate anyone. I was here to understand, to observe the dynamics that had shaped my life, and to quietly hold power in a place where they assumed I had none. Hotel Miramar, my grandfather's legacy, was now mine, and I was content to watch them remain oblivious. Evening fell, and the hotel came alive in golden light. I returned to the lobby, watching my family gather near the bar, their laughter echoing off the marble floors. Mom was congratulating Lucia on her recent promotion again, oblivious to the irony that the luxury surrounding them existed because of me. Roberto leaned back, smirking at every comment, unaware of who truly controlled this environment. I walked past them calmly, greeting a few staff members who nodded with subtle respect. Each gesture reminded me that I held authority they couldn't even begin to imagine. The family chatted about their day at the spa, the pool, the personalized attention, unaware that every detail had been carefully orchestrated under my supervision. Every luxury they enjoyed, every comfort they assumed was natural, had been arranged and approved by me. Miguel approached quietly, holding a cup of tea. "Your grandfather would be proud of you," he said softly. I allowed myself a small smile. He knew the truth, and so did I. My patience, my composure, and my observation were far more satisfying than immediate confrontation. I looked around the grand lobby, noting the way my family assumed control of spaces they had no real claim to, and I felt a quiet power settle in me. Later, as the family retired to their rooms, I stayed in the lobby, alone, reflecting on the day. Observation had given me clarity. Every glance, every whisper, every subtle slight had revealed the true hierarchy my family believed in. They had spent decades underestimating me, dismissing me, ignoring me, but I had the hotel. I had control, and I had patience. The next morning, the sun rose over the ocean, casting a warm glow across Hotel Miramar. I stayed in room 108 for a few moments, savoring the calm before the family stirred. My family believed they were the center of this luxurious world, but I knew differently. Every detail, the polished floors, the pristine linens, the perfectly arranged breakfast buffet, was a reflection of my diligence and authority. During breakfast, Mom hovered near Lucia, praising her accomplishments again and subtly highlighting my supposed simplicity. "Carmen, only fruit again?" she asked with a tone of feigned concern. I smiled lightly. "It suits me perfectly, thank you." Roberto chuckled, muttering, "Economical as always." The cousins whispered behind their hands, unaware that their amusement was observed and noted, filed away in my quiet assessment of the family dynamic. Later, Miguel discreetly approached. "Miss Carmen, there's a scheduling issue with the spa reservations," he whispered. I nodded calmly. Mom had deliberately canceled my premium session, thinking it a slight, but I treated it as a lesson in observation. The family continued their enjoyment, oblivious that the very environment they thrived in, the hotel, the staff, the luxury, was under my command. By midday, I took a walk around the hotel gardens. The staff greeted me with subtle respect, doors held open, chairs adjusted, smiles exchanged in quiet acknowledgement of my authority. Meanwhile, my family remained unaware, fully immersed in their privileges, completely blind to who truly controlled their surroundings. In their ignorance, I found satisfaction. The hotel was mine, my secret intact, and patience had become the most powerful tool at my disposal. By late afternoon, the sky over the ocean turned a deep orange. I returned to room 108, the small, noisy space they had assigned me, and sat by the window. Below, the staff prepared the terrace for an evening cocktail reception. My family lounged by the pool, laughing, ordering drinks, oblivious to the fact that every tray, every glass, every perfect detail was here, because of me. Miguel knocked softly and stepped inside. "Miss Carmen, everything is ready for tonight," he said quietly. I nodded, taking a slow breath. "Thank you, Miguel." He hesitated before speaking again. "I can't keep watching how they treat you. You're the owner of this place." His words were heavy with concern. I met his eyes calmly. "I know," I said, "but I need to understand before I reveal anything. There's a wound here, a family wound, that's been open for a long time. I'm close to seeing why they treat me this way." Miguel nodded respectfully and left, closing the door behind him. I remained still, listening to the faint hum of the laundry machines, feeling both a strange sadness and a quiet strength. They had no idea. They thought I was invisible, yet the very air they breathed in this place was mine. That evening, as the family gathered in the restaurant for desserts and after-dinner drinks, I walked past their table with deliberate calm. Their laughter dimmed slightly as their eyes flicked to me. They didn't know why, but something about my composure unsettled them. Power didn't need to shout. Sometimes it only needed to be present, silent, undeniable. Night settled over Hotel Miramar, and the family finally retired to their rooms, exhausted from the day's indulgences. I stayed in the lobby, alone, observing the soft glow of the chandeliers reflecting on the polished floors. The hotel was mine, every key, every room, every luxury under my quiet control, and they had no idea. I walked slowly through the lobby, noting how the family had assumed every privilege came naturally, blind to the truth. Mom, Lucia, Roberto, they had spent decades underestimating me, dismissing me, and laughing at my simplicity. Yet everything they had enjoyed today, every luxury, every comfort, had been arranged by me. I had patience. I had understanding. I had quiet authority. Sitting in an armchair near the grand staircase, I reflected on the day. Observation had given me clarity. Every glance, every whisper, every subtle slight had revealed the family's true nature. The arrogance, the entitlement, the casual dismissal, they had all come into focus. And in this quiet moment, I felt a deep satisfaction. Tomorrow, perhaps, I would reveal the truth. Or perhaps I would continue to watch them, to see how long it would take for them to realize the world around them. The hotel, the luxury, the service, was mine. For now, I let the calm sink in. Patience was my ally, and the quiet power of knowing was infinitely sweeter than any immediate confrontation. Hotel Miramar was mine. They were none the wiser, and I was finally free.